Hey, this is the Infinite Game, and this is part two with my interview with Ziggyno, and I'll be posting the rest day by day.
Box, you could sell that card for $100. Now we didn't sell the cards back then, but that chase was the excitement, right? That oh man, you could spend 19 bucks and maybe get a card worth 100. And even back then, if it was graded, it was worth even more, right? Which we still there wasn't much grading, but that's what started, and that was an introductory way to get in, right? Kid could spend 20 bucks with a dream and a hope, and there's a lot of other cards you could hit. Today, that's not even a possibility anymore. It's gotten brutal. It's gotten brutal. I want to go back to something you said, talking about how people, I think I said, do you think people will come to, using their logical sense versus emotion? When I think of grading, I think of people emotionally like PSA 10s because of the money that comes with it. But logically, I'll put it this way. If you knew nothing about sports cards and I were to explain to you, I have here a BGS slab, a PSA slab, a SGC slab, and I presented all four of them to you and told them you're going to protect a piece of cardboard in it that's worth a lot of money. You cannot tell me that you would not pick the BGS simply because it actually seals the freaking card in a little envelope before it goes into the slab. So again, my point is logically, that's the better protected card at least, right? And then grading is subjective, but it does give you more detail with the subgrade. So my point is, all that logic being the case, we know emotionally people go to the PSA 10. Do you think that people will ever come aware of that? Do you think there'll ever be like an aha moment? They go, you know what? You're right, man. I should be paying more attention to the detail instead of the lipstick on the pig.
So part of it with the slab thing, I've seen this with cards too.
Yeah.
I remember because some of the first cards I got were Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Okay.
His rookie cards, his base and his select, his prism base and his select base.
Yeah.
BGS 9.5s and PSA 10s, and then I got.
Are you still holding those cards? Do you sell those cards?
I sold them just because I think I felt like they were going to go down from where they were, because I got around $700 or $800, and then I wasn't planning to sell them to like after he retired, but the market was kind of going so crazy. I probably should have sold them as they were going to $7,000 or $8,000.
I know, but who knows that, right?
But yeah, so and I want to consolidate and get into rare stuff. Yeah. And I was kind of doing it before most content creators were talking about that.
Yeah.
Because I read a book. I'll say this now. I'll get back to it. I read a book called Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds. I actually read a lot of books on different topics. And it talked about the Tulip Bowl crisis and two other crises in the 16, 17, and 1800s. So, and there are a lot of parallels that's happening in all of collectibles, and really all of investments. And I was like looking, when they're talking about tulip bowls, and they're talking about how the price of tulip bowls were like a lot of times more expensive than the clothes on their back, the food that they, all the essentials that they need to live, and more expensive than people's houses.
Yep.
And I was looking around at
Same thing.
And I was like doing research at Seattle for a University of Washington. I was looking around an apartment. I was just like, maybe I have too many cards, and maybe I should consolidate into like some rare stuff. Also I kind of have an affinity for soccer. I really like soccer cards.
Yeah.
And then like the shades of getting like Messi and Ronaldo and getting into Pele cards. And soccer is a sport that I'm like getting more into, that I'm interested in.
Did you get into that back during 2020 at all, or no? Because I know soccer had a run up where people weren't paying attention to it. I actually made a lot of money in soccer when I think about it. I mean, it's surprising. I made a lot of money in soccer.
Funny because I got another PSA sub back. I sent a bunch of soccer cards with PSA. Well, you can't see from here. But
what did what brand? What is it like? What products? Chromes or those?
2017 Topps Chrome, like
Okay.
autos,
Okay.
2017 Select with Mbappe.
Here's what I killed it on. Listen to this. I got the 2020 Bowman Soccer. Okay, now you're probably, and it's MLS too, dude. It's MLS Soccer. Bowman. It was $10 a box. Okay, $10 a box. Right now, I think it's selling for $300 a box. Now, what I did is when I got mine, I opened, I think, 10 of them, and I sold the singles off at that time because you had some color ones, and that covered all my costs for the boxes I bought. And here's a kicker. This is a real kicker on that product. Apparently, Topps had made a mistake where they had the way the print was a print-on-demand product, and they had made all the parallels, but they didn't have enough base. So when they distributed the product, they had a whole bunch more color left over. And they sent that out to the people who bought boxes. They just distributed it out. So I get another package in the mail, a bunch of color of these cards. And again, this time, they don't have much value. About a year later, they like Brandon Frazier, all these guys, I don't even know their names. I should think about who they were, but these MLS players started doing really well, and these cards skyrocketed. So I made money off that again. And then I had 10 boxes that I sold at around $200 to $100 to $150, $200 a box. That's 15 to 20x per box. I mean, I killed it on MLS. I mean, I love that product. In fact, I still have almost an entire base set of that product left over. Because again, that stuff was $10 a box when it came out, man. It was a phenomenal product. And again, I knew nothing. That was an accidental purchase, by the way.
Yeah. So, but I think the thing is for the whole emotional thing, I think there's so many new people who came in, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the people who are making content, and those were people who are rewarded because people were making content a year or 2 years before the boom. I mean, if you look at their podcasts, YouTube channels, they have the most views. And even some of the ones who, most of them,
well, let's talk about that. Who do you like?
Or subscribers.
See, what my challenge of that is that I think the better content is still unseen.
True.
Okay?
I agree.
Like, because the guys who have the most subscribers are really the guys, and I don't mean this negative to my friends out there with a lot of subscribers, who just make the most noise. They're not necessarily the most accurate. The best content subscriber out there with a large number of followers is baseball card collector, investor, dealer at 50-something thousand. You follow?
Yeah.
Him? He is the best where he's real, true, honest, just freaking, and he's not selling shit to you and advertising and sponsoring. He has a few. I mean, I understand, but he's been very realistic. Where when I think it's the other ones, like remember PSA collector, who's now the graded card investor. Remember that guy? Like he doesn't even put content anymore, right? He was so much about pushing the PSA grading and the card flipping. Where again, there's another channel I love, dude, is Cards and Comics, which is Jason. He's a knowledgeable guy. He knows his stuff, man, but he has under 1,000 subs. Baseball collector Mike on Bench Clear is another guy. And then in that genre, there's a bunch of these old school guys, Card Cutter, Silver Jackify, who've been around for a long time putting out content. So I think right now you're seeing a rise of that. Like, to be honest, if you were to rank, if subs were given on quality of content, the world would be a different place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It would be a totally different place.
Yeah. I think my point is not necessarily like quality, but I think a lot of people who were coming in were more investment minded.
Oh yeah.
And that's the stuff that got the attention, got the views, and the people who were posting consistently around that time.
Well, here's the reason for that. There's two types of people watching that, right? Because you're absolutely right. Before that, like I said, Mike Baseball Card Collector, those back pages, Card Cutter, these guys have been putting out content forever. And they had a couple thousand core loving subscribers. But when these guys started putting out how to make money, you watched for two reasons. You either wanted to make money or you wanted to watch that guy be wrong. You know what I mean? Like if you were educated, you're like, let's see what this idiot has to say. But we all tuned in. Even if we hated him, we were tuning in to see what he said wrong. And if we loved him, we were tuning in because we believed him. And what's happened now is, fast forward, those people who were right were like, yeah, now we feel vindicated. And the people who got burned are like, trickling off. So it's been interesting to kind of watch that.
That's true. So it's one of those things is like the PSA collector, I think sports card investor, and I think even Gary Vee to an extent what they were showing people in their faces who wanted to get, I think Gary Vee had a major influence of like the amount of people coming in.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
yep.
And if he's showing PSA 10 slabs, he did talk about BGS and he did talk about how he liked SGC before it was kind of like accepted. And I remember because how I was first kind of learning for cars, because there wasn't as much, it was harder to find content on cars in general. Most of the content I found, even in 2019, was like on YouTube, was like people were kind of doing box breaks, but they weren't selling anything. They were just like opening and seeing.
Personal rips, personal shares.
Yep. Yeah. And that was most stuff. And I was like, okay, I want to learn about sets, you know, what read cars and things such as that. And also probably maybe how I was searching, probably didn't get those, you know, maybe I don't know, maybe I should search harder. But I think it's one of those things where you got a lot of new people coming in and they're very green. So the first thing they see, they start buying that. And I think it kind of creates almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy.